24 weeks to pop that baby to number
You
one.
think so?
Oh, God,
You got talk shows, you got performances.
Oh, man.
Okay, we're rolling when you guys are
Music
ready.
videos.
Cops, I can't believe we're doing this with you again.
I
It's so
know.
funny.
It's just weird. This one is weird being here.
Uh-huh.
It's weird. Did you say you have speed?
We're rolling.
Okay. So, it's been sort of a crazy 5 years, I think. And I'm curious, each of you, as you were sort of cast, you know, in Catherine Hardwicke's, you know, $35, $40 million vampire movie 5 years ago, if you had any inkling of this, and at what point was there a moment, an action, a couple of days, a series of something where you thought like, oh wow, this is bigger than even what I could have imagined?
I think there were several it just kind of kept, you know, growing in terms of that anticipation of what it might become. It was never the understanding that, hey, it's like, oh, look at this, we're going to be part of this amazing franchise. When we first signed on, it was like doing an independent, you know, kind of different vampire film. And then as we were filming, kind of people started knocking on our doors and, you know, kind of showing up and taking pictures of us. And then there were all these fan sites kept popping up, and then fan fiction, and it was like kind of like, this is way different than every other project I've done in terms of response, and people haven't even seen it yet. And then that didn't even really sink in until the premiere, for me at least, is, you know, like kind of driving up with my family and then seeing this amazing amount of people screaming and all these reporters, and like I was out on the red carpet for like 2.5 hours talking and signing autographs, taking pictures, and it was intense.
I feel like success or something being successful isn't normally so obviously in your face with your ability to connect with fans in person, if that makes sense. Like, you can hear about something being successful and you can say like, oh, the movie made this amount of money, you know, this opening weekend or whatever, and so you have the idea, but it doesn't really feel real until you show up and you can see it and witness this, and that's I think what makes this whole experience so unique is that we've been very interactive with the fans, and we appreciate and know what, you know, the role that they've played in the success of these films, and so we've given them, you know, we've tried to give back a lot and spend a lot of time with them. And for me, I remember very specifically the moment I thought like, oh God, this is gonna be something. And it was the first Comic-Con. We weren't invited. It was just the director, Catherine, and Rob and Kristen. And I was watching the news at home, and I think it was Rob that got out of his car, and I remember the news anchor was trying to interview him or someone, and the screaming was so loud that it was distorting the microphones. And I just thought like, wow, that's for our cast? Like, that's for these people know about the movie? You know, it happened overnight. When we were filming the first movie, there was a very exclusive, you know, fan club or, you know, group, and they only interacted with us online, but they didn't show up anywhere. And so I definitely had that moment of like second guessing myself and saying like, no, this can't be for our movie. This is, someone's playing a joke on us, you know? And I still feel like, not to ramble, but we experienced that same emotion as each film unfolds. I don't think any of us have ever had a moment that was like, we can do whatever in this and it'll be successful. You know, we've always felt like the desire to please the fans and work really hard for them.
Tell me a little bit, both of you. Let's start with Rosalie. Tell me about Rosalie's sort of arc from, you know, where you start in the first movie to where you get, and do you feel a sense of sort of satisfaction, completion, having been able to sort of do one, take a break, come back, say, oh, I wish I could have done this different, and do you feel you got to take her on a full journey?
Oh, the beauty of being an artist, we all have regrets about performances at different points in time, and you have to just remember that is, what did someone say to me when I was recording last month? That is a photograph in time, and you have to be able to walk away from whatever you did and move on and appreciate that performance sort of isolated. One of the most challenging things about playing Rosalie has been knowing personally who she is and all that she's capable of and where she's coming from. And Stephanie really wrote some very multifaceted, dynamic characters, and there's so much depth to all of them. And so there's definitely been some frustrations along the way, I feel, in not being able to explore all sides of who you're playing and almost feeling defensive your character, you know, or how people are perceiving her, or, you know, and only having a moment to relay whatever you're trying to relay in that scene. And I'm really happy that we made it to the place we did and that we got to complete these. As for Rosalie, I mean, I'm really happy that I got to show that side of her, the more vulnerable side, the more sensitive side. And also, I found it really fascinating to watch how the fans closely associate you with whoever you're playing, and it's very subconscious. And I've experienced, now that this is all over and I've seen both sides of it, I've experienced the fans sometimes treating me like I was an outcast when Rosalie was the outcast of the family, or, you know, creating dynamics amongst us personally that didn't necessarily exist, but it's because it was what was happening with our characters. And now, inversely, playing someone who's on the side of the protagonist, now having the fans actually accept me a little more, and so that's also been really, especially because I was so young too in this whole thing, hard for my mind to grasp that, I think.